Well, hello there, friends. In the new year, I apologize for the poor lighting. It is, in fact, nighttime. Just feeling very, very disorganized today. I'll try to do better. So, my apologies. Where to even start? I feel like I should, I don't know, get some things out of the way before getting into any status reports with the video. Where to even start? I think I should clarify that I'm not delusional about my chances of success. Whatever you would define success as, it's a very amorphous sort of term. I suppose it means different things to different people, right? You know, I'm not that young. Don't have, you've got a lifetime of empty promises, laziness, all that stuff. We don't need to get into it, right? Let's see. The dream, folks. The health, the career, the house, the wife, the kids, the family, right? At 35, almost to 40, it's a tall order. We don't need to really get into it. The only thing that is certain is doing nothing is precisely going to give me that. A whole lot of nothing, right? And, it's not just you battling with yourself, trying to overcome your own long ingrained laziness and lack of really using your brain, willpower, all that stuff. You are, ultimately competing with other people. So the world did not stop to wait for you to catch up, right? And on top of all that, we don't need to get into it, but we live in a very changing world. We live in a very changing world. I do not, if you're waiting for some sort of, year in review, this and that, I don't really have much to say. I have, I think, completely lost my interest. I sure wish this person would drive by a little faster. It's almost like they're scoping out the parking lot for something. All right, pal. Got my big old truck off-road in the city, right? Anyway, I have completely, I think, lost my interest in politics now. My takeaway from everything is that there is nobody coming to save you, okay? And that is not a commentary about God or anything like that. That is a completely different topic. The salvation of your soul is something completely different. But if you're waiting for the system, the this, the that, or this party or that politician, no, it is truly up to you to help yourself in whatever way that you can, using whatever is available to you. You just think of, in the world of medicine, how many people kind of go through the ringer and, right, deal with issues, whatever, that they just kind of end up having to try to figure stuff out on their own, right? All that stuff. So, we don't need to get into it. That's what it is. So you've got this combination, your own stuff against others, and ultimately things going on in the world. And I'm not delusional either about, you know what, I've got it all figured out. I just need to self-improve. I've finally got it all figured out. I'm such a smart genius. Look at how smart I am. I just need to work on myself and self-improve, and I'm guaranteed to have a better life and whatever. So, no. And I think, the idea of self-improvement should be very much, the idea of self-improvement should be clarified too. What does that mean? Because I think that there's really two types of self-improvement. There's the first and most common one, which is getting really hyper obsessed with kind of trivial things and making them out to be these really big deals, almost like this Deus Ex Machina, where it's going to drastically change your life, and inevitably you become disappointed when it doesn't, right? Disappointed, cynical, and all that. I mean, what comes to mind, folks, very quickly, because of the clickbait aspect of it, of course, is the whole no fap and lifting thing. I mean, they're good things, they're good habits. It's sure, I think avoiding prawn and doing that to yourself is a good habit, and I think that exercising and taking care of your health is also good. But like the expectation that in and of themselves there's just going to be these things that are just going to, is this person driving by again? We'll see. If they get super weird, I'll find another parking lot, pal. This isn't the only parking lot in town. There's other cars here too, so it's not like. So, man. So, in and of themselves, there's no possible way that those things could possibly do anything like just rapidly, drastically change your life. And so, of course, when people treat it that way, and they're like, oh, well, I tried that self-improvement thing and it doesn't work, blah, blah. Well, I mean, obviously, right? And the second type that is not as common, it's the kind that may actually lead to actual change in life, is when you do real, actual, practical, difficult, uncomfortable things. And so, it's the stuff that you might liken to, all right, this is what I've been meaning to really take care of, right? So, all right. I was kind of hoping we wouldn't have the sound from the, there we go. So, I should have recorded earlier. I'm sorry. And, gosh, where was I at now? I didn't want to ramble too long. I want to keep these as an accountability thing, and I do have something to talk about, but I figured this was worth enough to, and now I'm almost 10 minutes in, and you don't need to make the sale. The sale has already been made. Get to the point, right? But if I don't get it out, it's just going to be in my brain, and, let's see. So, all right, I mean, to be honest, probably, is that cruising? Is that what they call it? Cruising? Looks like same truck finally left. All right. Right. So, all right. So get back to the point. God, these videos suck. This is dumb. So what does that mean? All right. So, if I was 30 years old and I didn't know how to drive a car, it would probably behoove me to face that fear, uncertainty, and overcome that challenge instead of, say, worry about dating and how I'm alone, right? That might lead to something beneficial by working on a real actual problem and self-improving, not getting just hyper obsessed about this other thing. So, and there may be an elephant of a problem. You can't do it all. But how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So what's the point? What's the point of this 11-minute long ramble? So what's the point? Why not just give up, man? Why not just give up? Just don't bother, man. Stop lying to yourself. Stop being delusional, whatever. Well, I mean, all I've done my entire life is give up, so more of that is probably not going to help anything. Giving up no longer feels enjoyable. Every cope, if you will, has its end. Once it's gone, it is gone. The alcohol doesn't taste so great anymore. Laying around doing nothing feels miserable. Video games provide you no satisfaction, and on and on and on it goes. The point that it took me 12 minutes to get to is that sometimes for some people, you simply need to do something else. Simply try something else, and that's it, and that's all you've got. Because, more of the same is not going to get you anything. If it's not working anymore, doing more of it is not going to make it work. If it's never worked, then, is spending the rest of your life doing it going to change anything? Probably not. So, all right, I got that out of my system. It is 2021. A little bit of a rough start to the year. There's another ramble. The woman that I was sort of seeing, we were sort of dating, but we never used those terms. I'm just repeating all of this. We were together, but just didn't make it official. Let's not put any labels, expectations on it, see what happens. And it has unfortunately come to an end. In hindsight, I had a feeling, it's not, it's not easy either way. Even if I had a feeling that I wasn't really sure if this would work out, you bring somebody into your life and you into theirs, you get to know them, all that little stuff. It's hard to have to part ways, even if it is for the best for both of you. In hindsight, I can see probably the S-word tests, if you will, and the little hint that was thrown out one day of, her probably losing interest that way. So, we'd been kind of growing apart lately. Felt a little distant lately. Brought up do you want to hang out but just as friends? Really playing up that F word. And there was just a very awkward hangout where I felt like a bother and a burden. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it was very noticeable. So I didn't spend much time. I just went home. She offered, do you want to talk about anything? I just told her, don't worry about it, and that we had obviously been growing apart. It is what it is. No hard feelings. So we can just be friends, whatever. Probably won't really be talking much, but that is it. So I'm not angry or bitter or I hate her or anything like that. I mean, yeah, it's been sad and all of that. I mean, obviously, but I mean, I really do truly wish her the best. And I'm not saying that as some sort of self-defense, like, oh, I wish her the best. No, I mean, I do mean that. So ultimately, it was for the best for both of us, because I think that it was always kind of evident that we are people on two different paths, and sooner or later, I think that it would have been time, Two different paths, and ultimately probably want two different things. So that is that. Yeah, I think the experience was probably good, right? And if you really truly must know, we didn't, you know what? I am still that word, the V word, but I don't care. That is not on my mind anymore. I have much, much bigger worries than any of that. That is not my identity, right? I'm a 35-year-old virgin. No. So there's just something else that I felt like it was important to bring up about it. So okay, yeah, there, if I remembered. What I have finally realized, or what I have finally learned, is when a woman loses interest, and it's kind of obvious, but even then, when a woman loses interest, you have to let her go, let her be, and move on. Because that is it. And not just move on, but actively work towards something else, so you're not just stuck in one place and stewing, right? I think that this is sort of the general process for getting over any sort of regret, or I could have this, I could have that, I wish I had done this, I missed out on this and that in my youth and whatever. How do I get over any of that? Well, probably the only way that there is to get over it is to simply forget about it, move on, and work towards something else, so you're not stuck in one place and have a whole lot of time to think about it. So there's no point in, oh, let's talk about it. Can we work it out? What did I do wrong? Can I make it up to you? I'm going to win her back. No, folks. Once it's gone, it's gone. Leave her be and move on. It's simple, not necessarily easy, but that's it. So, on that note, folks, what a start to 2021. I just wanted to get that out since I know people would be asking, are you still in this? I said, I'm leaving it there. Nothing, no ill will against her. It was just kind of time, whatever mistakes I made, could have this, could have that. It doesn't matter. That is over and gone with. No need to stew and dwell on it anymore. Man, 20-minute long introduction. My goodness. A year, folks. An entire year. As much of a meme as it may be, to do anything you want. Anything at all. Within whatever possibilities still exist, which I'm sure is still a lot. It's very easy to fall into being defeated. The last year, 2020, I mean, a general upward trajectory, but a lot of ups and downs. But, at some point, that sine wave or whatever it is can't be this giant thing going up and down. While it may be sort of going up, like at some point you need to make it, tighten it up there. So, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, practiced coding, did nothing, practiced coding, did nothing, went forward, fell down, went forward, fell down, went backwards, etc. So, I guess let's start with the obvious one with the clickbait. I apologize for the clickbait picture. That is the only picture I think I have that I took of me real big. That was in early 2019 before my fateful walk that April night and upper back pain, insomnia, all that stuff. I mean, right now my right shoulder blade is kind of just bothering me. So that was 250 something pounds, not even my heaviest. My heaviest was 267 in 2016. So this morning, cracking voice. This morning I was 183 exactly.
В Мирбе создана транспортная авиаэскадрилья Ли-2, ЛТ-2, бортовой номер СССР 161-53. В эксплуатации...
So, yeah. There's the before and after. I mean, I could have done this much sooner, right? This didn't need to be 2 years, more or less. You stop thinking too much, overanalyzing, and you just do it and you're consistent and you'll make good progress. So, what can I say, right? But I'm not ungrateful. I'm glad to have lost the weight and still want to lose about another maybe 20 pounds or so. Get down to 160 or so. So, I'm on a pretty good path now. I really spend very little time obsessing over any of it any longer. I've come to really enjoy just pull-ups and push-ups. So sadly I had to put away dips. I do rows also, but I don't know, just dips. I don't know, just a weird feeling from dips. Really trying to hit the push-ups, work that serratus, all that. I don't know if I have scapular winging in my right. I really should probably, I don't know, go to another specialist or so. But also, in a way where they're going to tell you, like, yeah, it's this, here's more exercises, whatever. I'm finding twice a week, very, very high volume. Really starting to enjoy that. Tons and tons, just 30, 40, 50 sets of pull-ups, and then the same for push-ups. Push-ups are perfect for sitting down on the computer as you're doing stuff. You get up and you do a set, whatever. It's kind of a bit of a grease the groove method. So I don't know. Maybe it's not the best, not the most perfect, whatever, but it's very, very sustainable, and I feel good about it. Don't care at all. Yeah, I was very, very obsessed with, oh, I need the perfect routine, the perfect this. Let me endlessly, to what end? To what end? Just do something. Just do something. So I've been 3 months also on the carnivore diet, besides a couple of cheat days because of maybe the holidays or something like that. So hold on, I think that light might reset here and turn off in a second. So I feel pretty good about it. I see no reason to go off of it right now unless something changes. So it's been, ironically enough, people on low carb diets tend to have sleep problems. For me, it's actually helped. So I don't get the best of sleep, but it's better than it was. And yeah, if I drink, then it's completely over. I won't even sleep that night. Or if I eat garbage, same thing. So I found something. So I very much now sleep entirely on the floor. It's the only way that my back just doesn't, something kind of doesn't hurt. I don't even use a pillow, no blanket, no anything underneath my head. I just straight up yoga mat, a couple of blankets, and that is it. And obviously something on top of you. So I guess, yeah, took me many, many months, but I did it. And I'm grateful. I think it's one of those things that, while it maybe didn't cure anything per se, it probably stopped things from getting much worse than they could have. So just truly having that, laying down and just having nice neutral alignment of the spine is very, very good. So, I guess it kind of shows that you can kind of train yourself to do much of anything with enough just consistency and just having to go through those rough moments. Maybe there's a lesson in that. So yeah, it's not a New Year's resolution, but the goal is just to really give the carnivore diet a full year and see how it works. And just maintain this, a year of consistency with working out. Pull-ups, push-ups, finished off with some rows, and that's it. Don't add anything, don't change anything, don't, oh, should I maybe add this or that? No, that is the routine. That's the decision. Be freaking decisive, That's the routine. Stop overanalyzing, stop thinking. That is it. So, all right, that's all the exercise. We've seen the whatever stuff. Have you actually done anything with coding? I have. I kind of, like I said, it's been up and down. I kind of brought it together last month or so. Before I get into a ramble about this, almost 30 minutes in, I'll show you what I've actually, Babby's first website. So let's roll that clip right now. Hey folks, we're going to look at some garbage that I made in no particular order. Let's look at Babby's first websites. So we've got Toluca Lake here. I'm going to open it up and let's see, do I have it in Visual Studio Code? Here's all my index HTML and my style and CSS. All this wonderful stuff. Here's the little website. I just thought, what if it was like a little destination website for Toluca Lake and Silent Hill? I know it's really silly, but I just needed some idea to go with. So you look at this, you can hover and this little shadow. So all this information is from the Silent Hill Wikipedia thing. So I figure I'll take that info and turn it into a page and Go down here, background and history. Of course, at first I was like, what if it was like a tongue-in-cheek travel page? And then I realized, well, if you're putting maritime disasters in here, it's probably an awful way to, uh, oh, travel here where all these disasters have happened. And take a look at this, folks. Look at this. I'm going to grab the corner. Oh, shrink it down. Pow, look at that. It turns into a single stack here for mobile design. How about it? So we on that responsive design now. Look at that. Pow, pow. Bigger screen, smaller screen, and then it kind of fills up more of the side. So, well, anyway, yeah, we got all our pictures and the index with the, yeah, when you haven't looked at something for a bit, you're like looking at it being like, oh, what is any of this? My goodness. Alright, let's take a look at the other thing. Open folder, Resident Evil, so you know where this is probably. Oh, is this Chris's sandwich? Okay, and there it goes. Look at that. So these are just single page websites. It's just purely practicing plain old HTML and CSS. So this one definitely kicked my behind a lot because it was, I don't know, how do I float this stuff? This was before I got into any positioning stuff. So, oh, the clear fixes and the floating and the background images and all that stuff. So this is the, see how it kind of flows, merges in with the background color of the page like the other one. And see, you can hover over each of these and see, look at this. Don't you think this is neat? They have escaped into the mansion where they thought it was safe yet. And look at that. Got a little story, some of the characters. I was like, well, if this was a web page in the 90s, maybe you don't want to give it all away. Just give out the main characters and then, more teammates in the mansion. Got some of our weapons, obviously using PS1 graphics pictures. With all the jaggies and all that, it doesn't look that particularly good. And some monsters, and same thing, look at, yeah, it belongs to Picnic Com. I just needed something random. Look at that. Return, click on that, return to top. But what if you're like, hey man, I don't want to scroll down to the story. I can click on story and look at that. It goes down there. We're using our IDs for the, where is it? Well, one of these has, where's my primary content div, the ID for story. So characters, and then same thing with weapons, and then monsters. And look at this, folks. Let me show you. What if I was like on a smaller screen? Look at that. Pow. See, look at that. It turns into a single stack. Some of this kind of needs to be fixed, but for now it's sort of good enough. This doesn't this Barry Burton just look like like a 20-year-old, like a 50-year-old off-grid prosperity? When I was making all this and looking at this, I'm like, this looks like off-grid. Look at that. It turns into a single stack for smaller screens, and then pow, pops out. Look at that responsive design. So there's that, and then I finished last night because I wanted to redo something. It's got a little more work to do, but for now it's like good enough. This fake book login that I made, try to replicate. It's not much HTML to it. Yeah, semantic HTML, and I swear everything is just divs. There's a bunch of CSS. We CSS now. So I'll show you the fake book login. So there it goes. And just as comparison, let's bring up actual Facebook. So we've got, all right, see, look at that. I could probably do away with one of the, got a little too much space in here, but look at that. And same thing. So on the real Facebook, see if you make it small enough, it collapses to 1. Well, yeah, mine, okay, see, I do, this is the one thing, once it gets this height, there's not enough room here, so, but hey, if you bring it far enough, look at that, same thing. There you go, maybe this is a little bit easier to see. Look at that. Click here on the real Facebook, you hover, kind of this Dodger blue color, and I think this is like a lime green, see? Blah blah. Not worried about the header. Same thing on mine, I don't quite have the, but I've got this, you know. You probably can't see it in the video much, but it turns into a little bit of a darker blue when you hover over it, darker green when you hover over this. So, see, it pops out. Kind of has a maximum width. I don't know how to. Same thing on Facebook here. Once it reaches a certain point, it kind of doesn't stretch any further and stays right over here. I don't know what the pixel amount of this would be if this is 1,000 pixels wide or something. So yeah. That is, I mean, in terms of just practicing basic old HTML and CSS, not the best, I would say, not the worst. And look at that, we've even got the little box shadow, do you see? So here's the real Facebook. You can kind of see the shadow around to separate it, since this is like a smoky white, and this is just regular old hashtag FFF. Same thing, smoky. I forgot what is the color of this, by the way. For the body, this background, well, whatever this hex thing turns into. It's the same thing. So yeah. So that is the garbage that I have made right now, recently. Okay. So that was it. Whole bunch of garbage. I very much have the mindset of nothing I make will ever be good enough. And I always need to be learning, listening to feedback, just growing, improving, etc. Not, oh yeah, I made some stuff and now I'm hot S word. No, I do not have an ego about it, or that I'm gonna be the next great this or that. No, folks. I have a much more humble whatever mindset, if you will, about it. What it is though, what it is, brother. What it is ideas taken to completion. Those ideas weren't particularly great, right? But it's like, all right, I've now been cut loose and I need to start making stuff on my own, as the instructor says. What do I do? I mean, I did have this moment of like a little panic of like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I'm getting better at following instructions and learning, but on my own. So I was just like, I don't know, about a Resident Evil website, or like a little Toluca Lake Silent Hill thing, about trying to recreate a portion of the Facebook login thing, all that stuff. So they're not great, but I followed through and did it. So it starts off with it's a front end thing right now, and I met somebody. I came across somebody on the internet that I've sort of become acquaintance with. Somebody who did the learn to code thing in their 30s and has achieved success with it. So it's kind of like, well, man, I'm going to try to learn everything I can from this dude. What advice do you have? So he was very much saying, focus on plain old, don't worry about the frameworks. Focus on plain old HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you can worry about frameworks later. So it was kind of like, all right, you know what, you are clearly doing better than me, and you more or less have the life I would want to live. I I'll do what you say. So so the lesson, you know, it kind of starts off the lesson with, I've been using Treehouse, and I bookmarked the Odin project, which I think references other websites and kind of collects all this stuff in one into a course. And also the Mozilla Developer Network, MDN website, which pretty much just has a full-on HTML, CSS, JavaScript course on there. It's all text-based, you know, so I'm gonna have to work on that attention span, but I'm not complaining. You know, you are getting university, college, whatever level information for literally free. So I am very grateful for that. I think I can muster up some attention and not complain. Oh, it's hard, or I have to read and think. I mean, that's how people used to do it, right? Back in the day. You didn't have any of this video and whatever stuff. So it starts off with the course I've been on, the track I've been on. It starts off with a HTML and CSS little intro, which, I mean, more or less, I kind of got the gist of it. Don't really have much to say. It's kind of fun to have that bit, you know, a creative aspect in all of that. It kind of scratches that itch a little bit. And then moved on to basic HTML, which more or less made sense. I think it was just the semantic HTML that I was a little bit like, I guess you don't have to use this stuff, but in terms of like what web crawlers and people who use readers, screen readers, and just like giving a logical order to the website and all that stuff was a little bit unclear. It was, you know, that one was a little bit harder to wrap my mind around, because it's that, you know, this kind of drives me crazy, is this front end stuff of just how many different ways there is to do the same thing. So it's I mean, I got this working, but is this the right way, the best way? I mean, I don't know. That's kind of driving me a little crazy. So did that definitely understand much better what exactly markup means now. It's just sort of funny how everything just seems to be a div element. So yeah, oh, you can do a this and a that and a footer and an article and a this and a section, and yet you just kind of see people make divs for a lot of things. I don't know, I just find that kind of funny. So, and then CSS, moved on to basic CSS, which was very fun. It's fun to actually give style to your website page and color and font size and all that stuff. I found that to be a bit more fun than HTML. Seems like it's where you kind of do a lot of it. I think the only thing that just kind of throws me off is styling. And, you know, what exactly makes up a good web page? I mean, I get the general basic idea of backgrounds and colors and this and that and some layout, but what exactly constitutes, like, what colors work good together? What type of fonts are good? I mean, I'm understanding the difference between serif and sans serif fonts now, because it was one of those, what does any of that even mean? But I'm getting a better idea. And that kind of threw me off, but that's, some of the courses now are touching upon that, and it's got some other great courses standalone where I think they teach you. So I'm not like complaining about this is hard. Like, yeah, I'm kind of bookmarking all this stuff of like, yeah, man, I gotta, what makes good layouts, what makes good web typography, is that the term? I think there is a course on what makes good web typography, so things are actually readable, all that stuff. So I'm excited to take some of that stuff so I actually have a better understanding of what are good practices and choices. So Then it kind of moved on to intro to like JavaScript stuff, which once again, I mean, I get the general, I've done enough putzing around in programming that I get the general logic of it. It seemed fairly simple so far. Not necessarily easy in all aspects. Like the function stuff is definitely much more difficult that my mind has to think more of. And especially when you start getting into like the arrow functions where you can write them shorter and pass back data, and how you can, if it needs this many parameters, you don't need to put this. If it's only one, you don't have to. Just though there's that whole iffy, the involuntary invoked function expression where it just immediately runs without you calling it, and you can putting it into a variable, all that stuff. So I think later on there's more courses on that, but so far not too bad. It's been primarily HTML and a lot of CSS. So now it's been, you know, some debugging with Chrome, so it gave me a better understanding of, oh, okay, I see what this random stuff I've stumbled upon in Chrome, what it's used for, and how it's useful. You expect your elements and all that stuff. The collection of, you know, why does, you know, like the cascading part where, I mean, if I'm getting this right, of where exactly is it getting its attributes and how they can override one another, of like, oh, this one over here, this doesn't look the way that I think it does because it's inheriting it from the parent element. All that stuff. God, this is, man, this video is sort of the info dump, and it's already super boring. God, the thought of what, 52 more of these, or however many Sundays there are this year, and it's just me talking about this stuff, man. This is going to be just a fantastic, right? Super. So, you know, that was good. It was like, okay, you know, I've accidentally opened up the console plenty of times. I see now what this stuff is, why it's useful, and, you know, being able to just run old JavaScript in the console itself. So it's now gotten to the layout stuff, which I finished and then did to some of the projects that I went back to and added some of the responsive design where it was using media queries. Once it's this width, you know, break into like 2 columns. Once it's a shorter one, just so it fits mobile displays. I definitely understand when they were talking about like have a mobile first approach, and then from there, you know, you make the simple mobile one first, and then from there you're using media queries to make it break out to be more complicated and intricate on bigger screens. Yeah, going backwards was definitely much harder. So there was that. I think the other thing that really threw me off, was vertical collapsing margins in CSS, where you've got 2 elements touching each other. If their margins are touching and there's nothing to separate it, it'll collapse to the one with the highest pixel amount. And it used the example of how the very top little, you've got your header, right? And the H1 element for like a title, why is this? I told my body element to have 0 margin. I want it touching the screen with no like white border. I'll want it to fill the whole background. Why does the top have this little bit? And it's like, well, it's because the H1 is touching the this, and so it collapses. And because there's like the built-in CSS sheet from the browser, you know, the user agent style sheet, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's got like a built-in property, so it's touching the other margin and just treating the H1 as the whatever amount that it has with padding or margin. Yeah, margin. Yeah, since H1 is a block element. If I'm not, yes, it is. These videos are going to be so freaking awful. We wanted you to talk about forever alone, all that stuff. Yeah, no, that time is come and gone, folks. You want to know why? Want to know why? Because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. That's the most damning thing about it. You can come up with whatever theory and observation and study and statistic and what you saw and whatever it is you want, and all the podcasts and the videos and documentaries in the world, and the end result of that is that it does absolutely nothing. That is truly the most damning thing about it. It simply does nothing because nobody cares about you. Nobody's coming to save you. So, it's the general theme, hopefully you've realized, of, there's a point where you simply need to do something else in life because it's not working anymore. If it's ever worked at all, which it may never have. So, anyway, not sorry about the tangent. Is there anything? Yeah, I watched that collapsing margin video, and then it was, man, I watched it over and over, and then even read like the little message board thing, and I'm like, man, I don't get it. So I stopped, and I went to YouTube. That's right. I went to YouTube because I was like, man, I don't understand this, and I do not want to just move on without understanding it. And I watched, I don't know, about an hour's worth of videos where people were describing it, and I think I finally got it. So, more or less. So, hey, how about that, right? It shows some care on my part, doesn't it? For what it's worth. So that is that. I got to take a look at what, and I feel like I've putzed around with layouts enough. The whole positioning to in CSS, absolute, relative, all that stuff. You're kind of starting to see, no pun intended, the code behind the matrix of just how do they do that on a website? Like, oh, I see. So yeah, I think that's about it. The goal. Do I think I'm gonna get a job just that easily? I mean, maybe if I work hard enough. Maybe in a year. I'm not so sure. At the very least, so what do you have a New Year's resolution? What's the goal? What's the this? There's really only, there's a number of things I want to do that I kind of mentioned, but I thought about maybe I should make a video about it, but what's the point? Just, you don't need to think about it. Don't major in the minors. Don't major in the minors and make some big deal out of working out and whatever. Just do it, man. It doesn't need to take up mental space. So, if I had to pick a New Year's resolution or one really big goal to mentally think about, is to get as good as I possibly can in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I doubt it will be good enough to get a job, but at the very least, I would like to be good enough to join meetups, network, collaborate, contribute, with others, learn, socialize, all that stuff. Of course, that also is sort of dependent on what happens in 2021 with any lockdowns and this or that. At this point, who really knows anymore? If it's, I was really kind of hoping to avoid any, well, we just remotely meet now with Zoom, but if it comes to that, then fine. Because I'm not going to be able to just put it off forever, right? Right now, it's just to finish up this front end thing. Keep writing down every little project that randomly comes into my mind. And, yeah. I think that was it. 45 minutes in. So, well, I mean, with the added video of the website thing, it's longer. So this was sort of the info dump episode. From now on, it's probably going to get a lot more, I don't know, gradual, even more boring. So hopefully you know what you're in for at this point with this. So if you've lost interest, I'm afraid that is it. This is meant to be accountability, maybe a little bit of rambling, not complaining and whining and forever alone. No, folks. That has come and gone. That ship has sailed. So I guess that's it. So I'm gonna get home and upload this. So we'll try to get a little bit better about, I think, in terms of physique, fitness wise, maybe every 2 or 3 months. Let's do, let's be decisive. Hopefully you're noticing a thing of like, well, why, and with the coding thing, why HTML and this and that, just to simply pick something, stick with it, follow through, be freaking decisive. Okay, I'm not going to worry about Python or PHP or any of that stuff. Well, why not Ruby on Rails? Why not this? Why not that? It's this sort of paradox, I swear, of, that I forgot to mention how it's kind of amazing how on the Mozilla MDN, there's just like a full-on text course in all of this stuff. And you think to yourself, man, this paradox of modern life where it seems like the tools exist for you to either save yourself if you're willing to put in the work and do it, or completely, utterly destroy yourself, right? Either help yourself or destroy yourself many times with the same tools, in computers and the internet. But yeah, the point is just to pick something, keep the focus very tight, and just freaking do it, and just to stop. Well, should I do this? Should I do that? Are you sure about your exercise plan? No, that's it. That's the exercise plan. That's the diet. That's the programming languages. That is it. That is the path. There is no other things. That is the path. That is the decision. I'm reminded of this Elliot Holst video where he talked about paralysis by analysis with workout plans. He just said, close your eyes, pick one, and that is it. That is now your workout plan for an entire year. And if something isn't working, you figure out how to make it work. So that is it. But you're this, you're that, you're too old. You're like, I don't care. I don't care because I got nothing else, folks. So, besides a whole lot of free time. All right, that's probably going to do it, folks. I will see you next Sunday. On what freaking time is it at this point? It is... I gotta get home. I have... What time? Do I get the time? Well... It's not gonna... Well, whatever time it is, and January 3rd, 2021, folks. We are... I know this analogy is so ridiculously overused, but it's also the truth. We are S-word, low-level characters in an MMO. Probably pick the worst class, whatever combinations, etc. We are grug brains who've decided to become wizards and sorcerers and mages, whatever, right? Technicians. It is grinding time. It truly is. It is grinding time, leveling ourselves up. Gotta fight them level 1 skeletons and tree snakes and kobolds and all that stuff, folks. Alright. This has gone on long enough. I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.